Hey everybody, how's it going? Aaron Rift here, along with good old JM Jeff Meacham. Today we will be talking about some of the most controversial moments in WWE history that the company wants you to forget about. How are you doing today, Jeff?
Doing good. There are a lot of these moments. I found a few, but as I was looking back and looking at your notes, there's a lot more than I forgot about completely. There's a lot that WWE wants to forget, and they're doing a good job because I've forgotten them. So.
And I figured now would be a good time to do a video like this, coming off the controversial angle with Charlotte and Paige on Raw during the contract signing, where Paige used the real-life death of Charlotte's brother, Reed, to build up heat to the Survivor Series match.
I thought that was very, very poor taste. I mentioned that on the predictions show with you for Survivor Series. That was just horrible.
Yeah, you do not see WWE pushing the envelope all that much ever since WWE went PG, and now that they're very politically correct and they're very careful about what they put out on television. We haven't seen a lot of controversial angles on WWE television, but there have been a lot over the years, and WWE likes to try and, put them underneath the carpet and hide them.
Some of our angles, some of them are real life happenings that people just go, shh, don't talk about that.
Yeah.
So, there's a few.
So, even way back in the day, I mean, in the 80s, you had tons of racist angles and storylines and interviews. Just in general, I mean, there's one video clip on YouTube of Greg Valentine calling Junkyard Dog a disgusting black man.
Oh, wow.
It's on
Was that from WWF?
Yeah, it was WWF.
Oh, my God.
So, I mean, there was stuff like that. It was fairly common to use race as a way to gain heat. And we remember Roddy Piper at WrestleMania 6.
Half white, half black face. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, so they did a lot of stuff like that.
The Piper, I didn't know Valentine did that. Wow.
Yeah, he did. Look it up on YouTube.
I will when we're done with this. That's awful.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So anyways, and then there was the angle where Earthquake killed Jake the Snake Roberts' snake, Damien.
I cried. I was 8 years old when that happened. I legitimately cried when he killed Damien.
Violence on animals. Imagine today, PETA.
Oh, God, PETA would go crazy. Are you kidding me? PETA would have had a field day with that. Oh, my God. I cried when that happened. That was awful.
Yeah, so that was quite the segment back then. As a kid,
when you watch it, it's like, oh my God.
WWE would never do something like that today. With the animal groups complaining about every little thing on television.
No, definitely not.
And then moving on to when the Attitude Era started up.
That's when they really started getting nasty.
WWE was really trying to compete with WCW by pushing the envelope, and one of the first angles they did was Brian Pillman pulling the gun on Steve Austin on live television.
But it's funny.
Well, not actually. I think it was a taped Raw, but that segment was live.
It was still live. Yeah, I don't know if they really are trying to push that underneath the carpet though, because they still talk about that to this day in interviews, things like that. Austin talks about it all the time. So for me, if they were trying to push it under the carpet, they would keep people quiet about it. So. But it was a very, very much talked about, very controversial segment of Raw, to the point where they lost sponsors because of that segment.
Yeah, and there was some concern that USA Network was going to pull them, but I mean that wasn't anything too serious, and WWE apologized for it, and they were able to move past it.
They did.
Now moving on. About a year later, I talked about earlier how WWE was, bringing up race and comments that are insensitive. Bret Hart would come out on Raw, and there was one segment with Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, and Bret Hart said that Shawn Michaels was nothing but a homo. That's what the HBK and the HHH stands for, and he said the guy in the green shirt, Triple H, is nothing but a homo. So that
was really. I remember that, and I remember thinking even back then, because I was, we were teenagers, so it was like, whoa, he called him a homo. Holy cow! It was bad, but it was, again, it was par for the course of the Attitude Era. They said anything. They literally said and did anything they wanted to.
Yeah, and then you remember the Nation's locker room being vandalized with the KKK messages.
I remember that. Yeah, that was really bad. That was for me growing up with a lot of black friends. That was really hard to watch with the KKK stuff. That was like, wow, I was shocked. I couldn't.
Sean accused Brett of using the N-word.
Yeah.
While they were changing out the spray can bottles.
I remember that.
Yeah,
That was so bad.
Yeah, so there's a lot of homophobic and
yep.
racial comments used to advance storylines and get heel heat and all that stuff.
Yes.
Stuff you would never see today.
No way.
For the most part. I mean, who knows? I mean, anything's possible, but...
Well, I mean, they're bringing up Reed Flair's death now, so, you know, anything's possible.
But, you know, this is just stuff that you wouldn't expect in today's WWE.
Right.
And then about a year later, they had the angle where Road Warrior Hawk got pushed off the Titantron.
Oh God, yes.
Essentially murdered by Draws.
Yeah, that was horrible.
But
he committed suicide. I thought he wasn't pushed. He committed suicide. He jumped. That was bad.
So you had
that whole year with Hawk in general, with the whole drunkenness and the whole thing was just horrific.
I mean, once again, using somebody's real life problems
exactly
as a storyline for entertainment. I mean, sometimes it's just it's hard to accept that as entertainment.
Yeah, I mean, I've been watching the Attitude Era Raws recently, leading up to like pay-per-views in 1998, because they fall on the same day, and for me, watching the degradation of the Road Warriors was very hard to watch, and especially Hawk.
Yeah,
it was bad.
Yeah, it's just it's uncomfortable to watch when you know the guy has real problems.
Yeah,
and they're exploiting it for television ratings.
Yeah, it was very poor taste, but you know, again, it's par for the course back then.
And we'll get to more on attempted murder later on.
Yeah,
there's more of that.
Yeah, a little bit of that in the history of the company.
Let's talk about Mark Henry and the sexual chocolate gimmick.
You know, I have Mae Young. I put Mae Young's various storylines on my list. That pretty much sums up everything with Mark Henry, Mae Young, Mark Henry in general. Mark Henry and the was Sammy? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Yeah, Sammy, the transvestite. Oh my God. Oh.
Sweet Jesus.
He has a penis. He got a penis. Like, oh God, poor Mark Henry. You know what?
He earned his money though.
He earned it. They never gave that guy a chance, man. It took him 12 years or something, like 13 years to regain enough credibility to be a world champion after that.
Yeah, that guy really went through the ringer.
He did.
His paycheck.
He did. It was awful. I felt so bad because the guy was an Olympian. And it was bad. That was horrible. And then the whole thing with Mae Young and him was really bad. Yeah. And Mae Young flashing on the Royal Rumble and giving birth to the hand and then they brought the hand back for Raw. Was it Raw 1000?
Yeah, it was an adult.
It was an adult. I was like, oh, I forgot about that.
That was kind of funny, though.
That was kind of funny, but the actual hand birth was really gross.
Yeah. Katie Vick.
Yeah, I put Katie Vick on my list. Okay. There's one person I know in the entire history of the world that likes that angle, and that's Vince McMahon. Even his own children don't like. Even Triple H, who was in the storyline in the moment of the segment, was going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. You know, he's sniffing the panties. That was one of the worst ones they ever did. As far as storyline wise. There's been worse moments with you mentioned murder, suicide, and everything, and stuff like that. But in terms of actual storyline, I think that was the worst one they ever did.
I wasn't offended by it, but I just thought it was really dumb.
I was offended by it. I thought it was gross.
A lot of people were offended by it.
I thought it was disgusting. And that was, me at, whatever it was, 19 years old.
But the thing about that segment is that encouraged you to want to talk about it, and you hooked up with a guy named Mike Nagel and started a little show called XM, which eventually became XMV, which eventually became Talk Wrestling, and then we had No DQ&A Video, and now we got us sitting here talking about this. So
very much so.
So without Katie Vick, who knows if we would be sitting here right now?
This is very true. Well, in that case, I have to thank that poor dead cheerleader.
All right, so
who Kane killed in the car accident in the book, apparently.
All right, so let's talk about murder/attempted murder. Undertaker pouring the cement onto Paul Bearer on live pay-per-view.
The Great American Bash. Yeah, that was something. But you have all that, but you also have the various buried alive matches too.
Yeah,
people are getting buried alive.
Yeah,
I mean, that they're scooting out through the side door of the grave, and that's fine. But you're essentially seeing live burials each and every time one of those matches happens now, because they use those big payloaders now. Yeah. You see, each and every time you see one of those matches, you're seeing a live death.
Yeah. But Undertaker was supposed to save his manager, his longtime manager.
Well, he did, but Paul became a liability, and that was very apparent when the Dudleys kidnapped him, that he was a liability. So Undertaker I had no other choice. He pulled the lever.
Yeah.
I'm watching going, did he just Did he just kill Paul Bearer?
Yeah.
What is that?
WWE had to say like a day afterwards that he suffered severe injuries, but he's going to survive or some crap like that.
Yeah. He was submerged in the concrete, but he did not suffocate. It was like the fact you guys even had to go there.
All right. How about this one? Kurt Angle, the sexual predator. Do you remember that one with Charmel?
No.
You don't remember this storyline?
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah. Well, basically, Kurt Angle was feuding with Booker T, and he was making advances on Charmel. And then there was one segment where, Kurt Angle said he wanted to sleep with Charmel and have sex with her, and then he ended up getting in the locker room and like covering his hand over Charmel's mouth and like threatening her and being a total creepo.
I don't remember that at all. Wow.
Yeah, this was around June 2005.
Really?
Yeah. So,
when he was feuding with Shawn Michaels.
well, this was like between the matches with
between
Shawn
the
Michaels.
matches.
He was feuding with Booker T. Yeah, so Jeff doesn't even remember that one.
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah.
No recollection whatsoever.
It was pretty disturbing. I'm like, wow, they're really pushing the envelope here because Kurt Angle is this Olympic gold medalist, and
He's a married man with a hot ass wife.
they're
Come
doing an
on.
angle where he's a sexual predator.
That was creepy. Yeah, I don't remember that at all. Thank God I don't remember that.
I mean, they did a similar storyline with DDP and Undertaker's wife there, but
I remember that.
That wasn't nearly as extreme. This was like, Kurt Angle basically threatening to rape her.
Wow.
And she's like screaming in horror and all this stuff,
And Booker was the good guy?
Yeah, Booker was the good guy. This was before Booker's heel turn.
I remember Booker and Charmel even being good guys together, but okay.
Yeah,
wow.
this was when Charmel started becoming part of the storylines.
Oh.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
Do you remember Heidenreich and Michael Cole?
Yes.
that was another creepy segment.
That was really creepy. And I'm not a fan of Michael Cole by any stretch of the imagination. I feel bad for the guy.
Yeah, that was very disturbing.
Cole definitely earned his paycheck that month, man. I'll tell you what. That was bad.
So,
but just the whole poetry thing and Heidenreich in general was pretty creepy.
Yeah. Now let's talk about Muhammad Hassan because this also, there's been a lot of stuff going on today, but back then it was post 9/11, and they brought in Muhammad Hassan, and then they did this angle where these guys all dressed in black, the sympathizers of Muhammad Hassan beat up the Undertaker, and they carried out Daivari. They held him up and carried him out, and this was the same time that there was the London
bombing in London. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they had to immediately, they felt, get rid of Muhammad Hassan's character. I mean, didn't he last ride him through the top of a limousine or something? Or
no, yeah, he Undertaker gave him the last ride through the stage onto the concrete.
And
what it was. They showed Hassan laying there with blood coming out of his head.
Oh, that's happy.
So yeah, that basically murdered Muhammad Hassan.
He murdered Hassan. Yeah.
We never heard from Hassan again.
No, never.
That was the end of the character. So basically, he was murdered.
Yeah, that's awful.
2 years in a row, Undertaker essentially murdered a character.
That's right.
At the Great American Bash.
That's right. Wow.
Yeah. So to think even back then when WWE was pushing the envelope, they had to drop a storyline because it was too controversial.
And they do it by doing even something more controversial.
Yeah. I miss Muhammad Hassan.
I don't.
ISIS sympathizer.
That's right.
That would generate some real heat.
Yeah, it would. Jeez.
I would say there's a better chance of John Cena going heel than that happening.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things you can probably say is pretty safe.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What about when Vince McMahon called John Cena the N-word at Survivor Series?
Oh, that one I remember that. Yeah, but you know what? It's so dumb because, they brought it up. I was going to bring up Hogan and his racial thing recently as WWE wants you to forget that too. But I've learned growing up in various places I've lived that there's a difference between the N-word with an A and the N-word with an R.
Yeah.
And Vince was using N-word with an A, talking to a rap artist, talking to, a rapper in John Cena, and it was in jest, and it wasn't that big a deal. But people made it more of a big deal after the whole Hogan thing came out this year. Yeah. Because, if Vince can say it, why can't Hulk? Because it was different.
And Booker, afterwards was like, tell me
he didn't just say, yeah, I remember that. But it was different. It was very different. And was it right of Vince to use that word? Absolutely not. But can you justify Hogan doing it by Vince doing it? Absolutely not.
Yeah. So, it is what it is.
Yeah.
All right, and then, you had the unfortunate passing of Eddie Guerrero. and they basically exploited his death in the storyline with Rey Mysterio and Randy Orton. And at one point, you had Orton coming out and saying that Eddie Guerrero was in hell.
Yeah, that one really got to, especially got to Jade. I don't know if you remember, because my son's mother, was always a big fan of Eddie Guerrero, and when Randy said what he said to Rey Mysterio, she flipped, I flipped. It was just like, oh, you bastard.
Yeah.
And I was so mad at Randy Orton for even daring to say something like that. It was very, very bad.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they got the okay from Vicky and the family.
Obviously.
But still, a lot of people felt very uncomfortable about that and felt
I
that
did.
it was very cheap and it wasn't necessary.
It wasn't necessary at all. Absolutely not.
Yeah, very controversial. The whole thing with how they handled Eddie Guerrero's death in the storylines, I felt was,
Rey Mysterio being world champion happened because of that.
That offended me more.
That offended me more than anything else. Yeah, seriously.
Yeah. And then, we mentioned rape, we mentioned murder. What about religion? When you bring religion into storylines, it can generate a lot of controversy.
McMahonism.
Yep. Vince McMahon, and him and Shane teaming up against Shawn Michaels and God on pay-per-view.
And then God bailed on Shawn Michaels. That was the best part.
No, he showed up. They had the spotlight.
Well, yeah, but then he left.
Yeah.
Remember, he left during the match.
Did he?
Yeah, where are you going, God? Come back here, God!
The best thing about that match was when the Spirit Squad came out and Vince won the match, and then you had JR's line.
The Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit Squad.
No. JR was like, "Oh, that's bull crap." Remember that?
No, oh no, I remember that.
No, he actually didn't say bull crap. I'm trying to be PG here.
Oh, did he? Oh, okay. I remember. Yeah. No, I remember saying, whoever it was saying it was the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit Squad.
Yeah. So
talking about God. So
So WWE went there with religion too.
They kind of everything, but you know what? What's funny? You didn't really mention this in terms of sexuality. You mentioned the Kurt Angle thing. What about Billy and Chuck?
Yeah, when they did the whole
The
wedding.
gay storyline. That they weren't gay after all, but for months and months it was teased like they were gay.
Yeah, and the thing is, they were getting good publicity at first, but then once it was revealed that they weren't gay at all, the
Glad people were
they
furious.
got offended that
Yep.
they weren't actually gay after all.
Yeah, that was awful.
Yeah,
That was stupid.
I did like that angle though with Eric Bischoff dressed up as the minister.
That was good.
That was
that was
tremendous.
solid television.
Yeah, it was.
That was really good.
And Vince mocking JR's Bell's palsy.
I hate when he does that. I absolutely hate that.
Just mocking JR in general, a lot of people got offended with.
It does, but WWE did it too.
Yeah, but the thing is, WWE, today it's all about be a star, and Vince was bullying. I mean, when you're doing something where it doesn't advance a storyline, to me that's bullying. When Vince mocks JR just for the sake of doing it so he can have something to laugh about, it doesn't advance any storyline. It sucks.
It does suck. You're absolutely correct. And he constantly made it a point to ridicule JR either on TV or in interviews or whatever. He would constantly just berate JR. It was awful.
Yeah. And, sometimes they would do things to make the divas look bad. You remember Piggy James?
That was really bad. And I like Michelle McCool and Layla even. But that was very, 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 very poor taste. I thought that was really, really... It's like the reverse of slut shaming.
Yeah.
And that, they're shaming because she's overweight. It's like, Mickie James is a very attractive woman. She always has been. And for them to even go there, if they want to go there, go there with her that her freaking pornography picture passed or something. Don't shame the weight, because weight can be lost.
Yeah.
And for them to just totally bully when they were in the midst of doing stuff like that, it was awful.
Yeah. So are there any other moments you want to mention real quick?
Real life stuff. I mean, they very easily want you to forget Benoit.
Yeah.
They'll mention him at all for any reason, except like on the old Nitro footage or whatever.
Yeah.
They'll mention him. They edited him out of stuff. Owen Hart's death. They don't want you to talk about that. Especially with Martha not letting Owen be doing anything else. Although they have an Owen Hart DVD coming out now.
Yeah.
Just the more the real life stuff I remember than some of the storylines you would bring up. I remember them when you brought them up, but they've done a good job. I've forgotten them.
Yeah. Well, you forgot about the Booker T.
I did, which I'm grateful
Kurt
for.
Angle, Charmel fiasco.
Which I'm grateful for.
Yeah, so, all right, that'll wrap it up for our thoughts. Leave a comment, Let us know what you thought about the video and some of your most controversial moments that you can think of in WWE history that
They want you to forget.
Yeah, exactly. So that'll wrap it up. Follow Jeff at _Jeff Meacham on Twitter. And stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest in the world of wrestling. Thanks for watching.